Yeah! Get that clip, man.
Hello and welcome to this Thursday's edition of Movie News here at MBE. We'd just like to thank you once again for joining us here on our YouTube channel and of course our Twitch stream. We are live and interactive on this Thursday night, and I am joined as always by John C. Walsh, who will come up now. There he is. Hello John, how you doing?
I'm doing just fine, Stephen. Mightily well.
Mighty fine.
Mighty
You've had
fine.
a hell of a day, I've heard.
Horrendous
Flat tyres
conditions.
in the snow,
Flat
Yeah,
tyres
it's terrible.
in the snow going up at an incline. It feels like Antarctica in Glasgow just now, and it is Antarctica.
It is.
There's
And
more ice
it
here.
doesn't look like it's going to get any better. Apparently, this weekend we're going to get more snow. But
Wonderful.
let's get back into our magical little world of entertainment to take our troubles away, and we're going to be talking about Sonic the Hedgehog 2. The title announcement video confirms Tails. Now, you know Tails. We all know Tails. A new Sonic the Hedgehog 2 title announcement for
I'll get a fucking clue who
confirms
Taylor
Tails
Stephen, and I'll swear and I'll admit it. I ain't
will
got a clue.
have a major role, reaffirms the release date, and features a classic tune. This is coming from Screen Rant, John. You were going to talk about this last night, but you were very kind in holding this one back, so we've got some content for tonight. And a new title announcement teaser from Paramount Pictures has given fans their first glimpse at what's to come and confirms the title is simply Sonic the Hedgehog 2. The logo features a yellow 2 with two furry tails sprouting out of it, confirming that Miles' Tails' Prower, the mechanically minded twin-tailed flying fox, will play a major role in the sequel. Tails was already teased at the end of the first movie, but seeing
Yes.
him be played up so prominently in the teaser is exciting, apparently. The music playing in the background of the video is also a remix of the
Hello.
Emerald Hill Zone theme, the first level of the video game Sonic the Hedgehog 2, suggesting that the new movie will take inspiration from its namesake in multiple ways. The teaser has also reaffirmed a theatrical release date of April 8th, 2022. No confirmation about Jim Carrey though, John.
He'll be there, Stephen. We've got a comment. Hello, Solomon Gibson. If I am reading the name correct here, my geriatric eyesight, it will probably be failing me. It won't be Gibson or Solomon, but that's what I'm saying. Stephen, I think Jim will be there. I think we have to have Dr. Evil, whatever his name is, Eggman Robotnik.
Good job.
He has to be there. He is the main villain. He is the only villain for Sonic, let's be honest. Stephen, I said it before we came on. I don't know if I was being picked up or not, but I've not got a clue who Tails is. I've never heard of this character. I grew up in the 1990s. I played Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't ever recall having any brushes with Tails. I recall Ivo, Eggman,
Pardon the
Robotnik.
pun.
Yes, and I recall Sonic. And I seem to recall vaguely Knuckles, who is presumably going to be in this as well. Don't recall Tails.
Yeah.
So, Stephen, I think we will get Eggman. It was heavily hinted that this guy had been ostracised off on this strange planet. He shaved the head. He had the bushy moustache. He'd lost whatever marbles he had. He's going to be back.
Had any.
If he had any. James Marsden, his character has to be in there, and so does Jim Carrey's. They were some of the best moments.
Yeah.
Whilst Sonic was doing his thing with the rings and stuff like that, they were back and forth trying to outwit each other. If you lose that, you lose something palpable, and I don't think Universal, or Paramount I should say, not Universal, would be so stupid as to break up a tried and tested formula in the first movie and dump it all for the second movie and risk it being a flippity-floppity flop. I think we will see that continuity moving over.
In terms of the Tails character, John, it didn't do the video game franchise, any harms back in the 1990s, as I recall. I had Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and it was a great game. You know, a lot of productions, whether it be video games or films or animated series or whatever, sometimes jump the shark and introduce a Scrappy-Doo, if you like, into their
Hated that character.
tried and tested formula. Exactly, John. Sometimes these things rub people up the wrong way.
That
In the
little
case of
shithead
Tails,
breaking up that dynamic duo of Scooby and Shaggy.
yeah.
Scooby-Doo.
But in Come on, Shaggy. Zoinks! But the thing is, John, I think Tails worked well in the video game, and I do expect it to work.
How do you remember it then, Steve?
As well. I do remember it, John. I had it for the Sega Mega Drive, which was the... can't remember what it was called in the US, the Mega Drive.
Master System?
Genesis or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it just added another sort of dynamic to the game. Well, it'll transfer onto film, I don't know. Sometimes you introduce new characters, it works, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, the main important thing is, you touched on it, John, James Marsden and Jim Carrey are in there. They've got to be in there for this to work.
Yeah.
Sonic's the sort of, what would you call it? The dress setting.
He's a protagonist.
Yeah, but,
the main man.
He's the sort of focal point in it. He's the Marty McFly of the franchise, if you like, and there's more important characters surrounding the main character, if you like.
Yes.
Set dressing. Yeah, set dressing, John. And I think, at the very end of that original film, it was sort of setting up Jim Carrey's character anyway for more sort of dastardly adventures anyway.
Absolutely, Steve. We have another comment. Just now found your channel watching Telepathy VJ and Star Wars content. Looking forward for the Master movie review. Love your content. Keep doing what you do. Well, thank you very much for your kind words. We will be reviewing Master tomorrow, Stephen. You have already watched a sizable chunk of it. I have not yet watched it. I will be watching a good chunk of it tonight and the rest tomorrow. So it's fresh in my mind. Stephen, we're going to rejig our style of reviewing. It's not going to be as long and as winded. We're going to try and make it succinct, squeeze it down, just brush over certain elements and make it a little bit better, a little bit more watchable. But all reviews were watchable for some people, not for a lot of people though, so we're going to change for the way we're doing things. But yeah, thank you very much for the comment. We do love Star Wars on here as well. As you can see behind me, I'll bring it up. I have there's the intro again. Not there, but there, the Star Wars poster, so you're in good company here. But Stephen, I completely agree with you, getting sidetracked there. I think we will see these two characters coming back. I think they're necessary. Sonic is the sort of cute little lovely hedgehog character that floats around. He's get the eyes on him, but without these other characters, it would be shit. It would be hollow. So I want to see Ivo Eggman back. He was the standout thing in that first movie. It was a great sort of harkening back to Jim's wonder years in the 1990s, the overacting and the likes of Ace Ventura and all of the other wacky shit that he did back then. It was harkening back to those times, and I loved it. As a Jim Carrey fan, I want to see more of that. And he barely brushed over the eccentricity of this character. Now he's got the bald head, the huge moustache. We're getting full Eggman, and I need to see it. And we know this guy loves I am the Eggman, I am the Walrus. I think that, if I'm not right, that is the lines. He loves that. He sang that. He's a big fan of the Beatles. So I want to see him going full Eggman. And look, I'm not a big fan of James Marsden, as you do know. I think he's a bit of an arrogant shit. I don't know the guy personally, but he just gives that vibe off. But I really enjoyed him in that movie. I want to see him back. I'm excited to see where they go with this, Stephen. The fact that they have greenlit a sequel so soon after the first movie, they obviously see the potential and they want to grab the bull by the horns. It was a surprise after the shenanigans with the animation, getting back and rejigging it. It was a surprise hit. That and the likes of Pokemon Detective Pikachu shows you where we're going with these video game adaptations. And just the sort of climate these days, there is a want for these live action animated mixes. Paddington, Peter Rabbit, Pokemon Detective Pikachu with Ryan Reynolds and Jonathan Major. Was it Jonathan Major? I'll need to search it up. And obviously this movie, it's ripe. People want to see it and they're going to keep giving us it. So the last thing I would say, Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle. They greenlit that sequel very quickly, Sony. Look what we got with the next level. I've still not seen it, but apparently it was decent. So if it's anything like that, the signs are decent that we are going to get a decent little sequel here. And Knuckles and Tails and everyone is going to be in there. And I'm sure it'll make money and make people happy.
I think what they've got to be careful is they don't want to do what Lucasfilm did with the droids in the sequel trilogy. Put them to the back burner, and we get Sonic the Hedgehog sort of floating in the background, to give Tails a more prominent sort of presence. Don't go down that road.
Call it Tails the Hedgehog then, not Sonic. It wouldn't work.
Tails Tails the
Tails.
fox. Yeah,
Is it a fox?
they've got to be very careful. You've got to
I'll get a clue out of this
two tails.
character.
Yeah.
I'll get a clue, man.
Well, we'll move
It's a
on
fox
swiftly.
then.
John.
Wow.
We're going to move on to our next
Fox and a
topic
hedgehog.
anyway. I look forward to it anyway, but I loved the first film. I've got to be honest. My daughter loved it as well.
Absolutely.
And she's a big Jim Carrey fan, so that helps. But we'll move on to our next topic, and this is coming in from Cinema Blend, and it's Candyman Star explains why it needs to be seen in theatres. Now, there's a lot of films out there that need to be seen in theatres, but when it comes to the horror genre, John, I'll give you an example before I read this article. I've said this time and time again. I should get a T-shirt. You should get I digress. I'm not a big fan of the horror genre. That is my sort of catchphrase. And I'm not, but I did see Hostel back in 2007 or 2006, and I did see The Hills of Eyes, the remake, that same year. And both films were shite. Absolute horse shit. But what I did get out of those two films was the audience around me's reactions to jump scares and the shock and horror sort of elements of those films, which plays into this article. So a lot of horror fans feel that half the fun of a new horror flick is the reaction it gets. Candyman star Coleman Domingo seems to think along the same lines as he says Candyman needs to be watched in a movie theatre. The Ma Rainey's Black Bottom actor told ET Canada in an interview that although it's tough for the people who worked on a film to keep seeing it pushed back, he's glad Candyman has delayed in order to get its time at the theatres because it needs to be seen on the big screen. Here is...
he's a great actor. I like that dude.
That's his own words here, John. He says, it does need to be on a big screen. I believe that Nia DaCosta directed something that is really epic and really visually stunning. And I think you need to be in an audience and be shocked at the same time and laugh at the same time and go, oh, at the same time. So, John, as I said, I've been there and done it, in a movie theatre.
Yeah.
Some of the films I've seen since, horror films I've seen since, on streaming channels, doesn't have the same effect.
No.
Apart from them being shite as well. But the actual experience, you do miss that, and I do think the horror genre requires that sort of communal experience at times, especially with jump scares. I think there's nothing better than everyone getting a fright at the same time. There's something really spiritual about it.
Yes, the communal experience of the shit running down your leg at a good horror movie. Yes, I completely agree with what you're saying. Stephen, Solomon's asked, we brothers? We are brothers-in-law. Brothers-in-law, not brothers. We don't look the same. I don't think we do anyway, Stephen.
No, definitely not.
I have emerald green eyes. You probably won't see it because of the filter. Stephen has icy blue eyes. So, but brothers-in-law, not brothers. Stephen, I agree with what you said. I completely agree. I've been to see many horror movies in the theatre, and it's just a better experience watching these movies in the theatre as opposed to watching them in the house with the feet up on the couch. Hereditary was the best example, I think. A Quiet Place, another one. Hereditary, some people would say is a shit movie. Some people would say it's one of the greatest movies ever made. That is the effect of Ari Aster. He's a Marmite director. One thing that the people who hate it and the people who love it would come together and agree is that it is spooky as hell when you're sitting in a darkened theatre watching it. And that end, 15 minutes or so, when things go crazy and Toni Collette is sawing her head off in the attic. That is so much better, sitting in a darkened theatre with the booming sound system, your senses sort of dulled and focused on the screen, and that communal experience. Again, A Quiet Place is another example. I'll go at myself, Stephen, and give you a little break. Quiet Place. What an experience. I says it the other day there, Friday, when we done my podcast with the chap from New York. I can't recall his name now because my memory's absolutely terrible. What was his name, Stephen? What was his name? He's away. Stephen's got his headphones off. He can't hear me. It was a Polish sounding name. Stephen, what was the name of the guy we done the podcast with from New York?
It was Bartek.
Bartek, I knew it was a Polish sounding name. My memory is terrible. We were speaking about that and experiences of going to theatres and horror movies in general, and I spoke about A Quiet Place and how it's probably my standout experience in a theatre. So quiet, a great horror experience from John Krasinski and Emily Blunt. That was another one that was elevated by the communal experience going and watching it on the big screen. So I completely agree with Domingo here. Coleman
Yeah.
Domingo, that is, not Domingo. I'm just giving him his surname. That's not very nice. Coleman Domingo is absolutely right. Whilst this movie in general may not be a must-see on the big screen, it may not be like a Tenet or a Dune that's set to come out this year, or maybe even a Godzilla v Kong. He's right, because it's horror, and horror's always better on a big screen. In a theatre, it's just better. Stephen, It is another example. That movie is a joke in the house. You look at Skarsgård's eyes and the squint, and you just laugh at this guy. In the theatre, you ain't laughing at that 6'3" clown. That guy's terrifying your dreams, man. So he's absolutely right. And look, Nia DaCosta, Jordan Peele's sort of heir apparent, if you like. He's gave her the seal of approval. She's directed this movie. I'm really looking forward to it, man, and seeing what they're going to bring. Stephen, the 1990s one was weird, but it wasn't scary.
No.
It did haunt my childhood years, because it used to be the thing, you say Candyman 5 times. Yep, you say Candyman 5 times, look in the mirror, he'll appear. Looking back now, it's not really a scary movie, so we can certainly build upon it and do better. And I'm hoping that Coleman and Nia DaCosta, they get the blend right, and it's a really good movie. We can all go and watch it in a theatre as well. That'd be nice once this COVID shit buggers off into the sunset, and we can move on. Not much more to add.
But we're going to move on as well, John.
Yes.
To our next topic is
Wow.
it's the Godfather making of movie cast Elisabeth Moss. We were talking about this a couple of months ago. I think it was just before Christmas, with the Oscar Isaac and Jake Gyllenhaal appointments to the Barry Levinson's fictionalised movie about the making of The Godfather. Now, Elisabeth Moss, big fans, John, we're big fans of Elisabeth Moss. As reported by Deadline, the cast of Levinson's film has now added another key piece, snagging Moss to play Eleanor Coppola, the wife of The Godfather's legendary director. Levinson said
My
in a
first
statement...
picture is a director.
I know, been up since 5 o'clock, John. Levinson said in a statement, "I've wanted to work with her for a long time. I couldn't be more excited about her joining the film. Every performance of Elisabeth is nothing short of exceptional." Alan Hansen.
Stephen,
So there you are.
So there you are, yes. Stephen, I do love Elisabeth Moss. I loved her in The Invisible Man. She's a stupendous actor.
Yeah.
I like her range, and I love what this movie is about. The tumultuous making of The Godfather. They're saying there that it's a fictional telling. I don't think it was fictional. I think Francis Ford Coppola had a horrendous time making that movie. The studio interference.
Yeah.
Horrendous time trying to get Marlon Brando on. The guy was obsessed with putting cotton buds in his mouth. Absolute freak. Great actor though. So I'm looking forward to this, and the casting has been exemplary. Oscar Isaac in there as Coppola, Jake Gyllenhaal, whatever you want to call him. I think it's Gyllen, because he's from Swedish origins. Gyllenhaal. So they don't speak like that in Sweden. I don't know why I'm saying that. And Elisabeth Moss. It's been a really well cast movie to date. And Levinson's a great director as well, man. So all the pieces are falling into place. I keep saying it. I'm doing it now. First pictures director. I'm going to scare the hell out of you, Stephen King. We all love Stephen. I've totally lost my train of thought. The disaster artist, I had to think about that there. James Franco. All about The Room. It was a fly on the wall remake of what it was like on that set with Tommy Wiseau. That was a great movie. I like these fly on the wall sort of remakes of hard productions. And if it's done right, Stephen, we could see Oscars being handed out to the actors on this set. We could see Elisabeth Moss picking up an Oscar. Stephen, we have got a comment as well. I kind of brushed over it because I genuinely do not know what Star Wars Acolyte is, but being asked, is it a horror movie? I'm not sure. What is Acolyte? Is that a new movie? I've not even heard of it. I can't lie. My finger is usually on the pulse with Star Wars. It may be a new TV show or something, I don't know, but I sincerely would like to see horror being dabbled with in the Star Wars galaxy. I think that'd be nice. We've already seen that to an extent as well with Darth Vader and stuff like that in The Emperor. That's a horror show. That guy's face and the horrendous disfigurement, that's a horror show. Don't know what your thoughts are on that, Steve, but look, man, I'm really looking forward to this. I recall us speaking about this movie when it was first announced it was going to be happening. Mm-hmm. I love the sort of premise. I love the cast, the director. All the pieces are falling into place nicely here. And I will be keeping my eye out on seeing who the hell else is going to come in, because of course we are going to have to have a Pacino, someone playing Pacino, and that's going to be difficult because he was at his absolute stellar A-game at that point, a young babyface Pacino. Someone's going to have to do. Marlon Brando as well, so it's all very intriguing how they're going to cast this. That will make or break this movie for me.
I think as well, John, if it is a success, we might see a trend in these type of films appearing with, big legendary movies, big titles out there. Casablanca, Wizard of Oz, which would be very interesting. Production on that one.
Yes, the Wizard of Oz. Yes.
And it would open the door for these kind of things. Getting the rights is a tricky thing, but I'm glad they're doing it with The Godfather. I've not seen that film many decades now. Thoroughly enjoyed it, watching it, and I think it's just one of those films you don't really have to get back to that often. It leaves a lasting impression on your first viewing anyway. And if you've seen it a couple of times more, you do miss things. It's one of those films that's very layered, and you can miss things. But it's just, a fantastic legendary cast, and that's going to be the tricky thing. It's the casting in this production. They're going to have to get right for it to be believable.
Is Mank? See, the new Fincher movie, Mank, starring Gary Oldman. That's based on a troubled production as well, isn't it? Is that not based on? It may not be. I keep saying this. I think it's absolute nonsense.
Sure, John.
Citizen's Kane. It was about the sort of experience of the screen being, or the script being written and by an alcoholic, obviously screenwriter Herman G. Mankiewicz. It's racing to finish Citizen's Kane. That's a similar vibe. One of these troubled productions racing to make a classic movie. It seems to work, Stephen. Fincher's great. Oldman's great. I can't wait to see Mank. He's nominated for awards left, right and centre. So hopefully this is the same, and we're going to see a rise of these sort of biopics about the great movies and them being brought to screen, and the sort of inner machinations of studio interference and all of this nonsense. It's a nice little subgenre when it's done right. Sadly, it's not done often though for me. It should be.
It's fascinating, John. I always love to see things like that. You're right. Obviously, the one with the James Franco one, which I felt, there was things in there that they could have really got wrong, but I felt the way they handled that was it was bang on the money. It was a different sort of perspective to if you've seen The Room, and it doesn't do a disservice in any way. I felt it paid tribute to it was a better film, ironically, but I doubt this is going to be better than The Godfather.
I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark. That's every man. In fact, this guy took 38 takes or something to get that right. Oh, Tommy. We all love Tommy, don't we? Maybe he wanted to be the Joker, Stephen.
Yeah.
Couldn't be worse than
He lives in his own little world. I'll say that. John, we're going to move on. I'm sure we'll get more production details about this. Yes.
No, I screwed up.
Okay.
Yeah, I screwed up the little graphics.
Okay. All right, I thought my sound had gone away there again, but we'll move on anyway, John. DC director took a note from Hugh Jackman's Logan to tie Shazam to Zack Snyder's films. We've talked about the theme to Shazam compared to the other DCEU films and how they would bridge that gap going forward, John. But I'm going to just read this little bit from Cinema Blend here. In anticipation of Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League coming to HBO Max in March, some fans had questions for Shazam director about how he connected the 2019 movie to Snyder's other DCEU movies. David S. Sandberg responded by explaining on Twitter that he never actually spoken or met Snyder before adding his Easter eggs within the film.
Never actually spoken.
But he did want to pay homage to their roots and interconnectivity into the shared universe, in his words. In the world of Shazam, the events of Man of Steel and Batman v Superman happen, but we also see that there are toys and merchandise of these characters and people who are fans, like Freddy, kind of like how in Logan we see that X-Men comic book exists, but X-Men are also real at the same time. That's very similar to what Marvel do, with the whole Ben and Jerry's ice cream. They've all got different... Yeah, they've all got different...
and he was eating it at the end.
Yeah,
Shyster.
exactly. And it doesn't really break the fourth wall in any sense, I don't think. I think if these characters are living and breathing in the real world, it's very natural to see businesses want to make money out of these larger than life characters that are affecting their planet, I feel like. So it
Absolutely.
doesn't make any difference. But just in terms of tone, John, Shazam was a great film. I really enjoyed it. It was something I didn't expect. I didn't feel I wanted it, and then when I did watch it, I was glad I watched it, and I realised I did need it.
What was your favourite?
Um,
What you wanted?
yeah, my favourite. What I wanted. Like one joke there,
Yes.
but it is they're going to have to change the tone, not drastically, I don't think, in the sequel when it's finally here, but it has to maybe grow up a little. It's the thing about Spider-Man, the Tom Holland ones. He's not grown up yet.
Because he's not grown up.
We're into the third movie now, and he's still this little
He's only
wide-eyed
23
boy.
or something. He's
Yeah,
a young guy, man. He's incredibly young. Lucky little
Yeah.
shit. Wish it was me.
Yeah, go out and get a job, Peter. Come on,
Yeah, come
get
on.
a photography job at the Daily Planet. Come on, move your ass. But I think in terms of Shazam, John, I don't know how much of a jump they can do realistically. With obviously the young actor, I can't remember the young actor's name.
Zachary Levi. Oh,
Name-
the other guy.
Yeah, who played the boy. I can't remember, John, but time's going on for him as well, and whether or not he'll come back or we're just going to get the Zachary Levi version throughout the next film, I don't know. But in terms of tone, John, what's your view on that? Do you think they're going to have to maybe go a bit darker? Do you think the rest of the DCU has to become a little bit lighter?
No. Stephen, it was Asher Angel, I think it played Shazam, Billy Batson.
Yeah.
No, I don't think the rest of the DCU has to become lighter. I think we have to get that perfect little equilibrium that we've got in the Marvel Cinematic Universe where we can have darker storytelling, darker sort of tones. We can have lighter tones within the same universe. Of course, we've got Guardians, and up until recently, that was really only the sort of funny sort of sub franchise. I'm completely losing the plot with my words here. That was really only. That doesn't even make sense. It always happens when I come on the screen on my own. So let's start that again, shall we? That was the only real. That was the choice of words I was looking for. Stephen's buckled over, laughing here off the camera. Sub-comedy-esque franchise within the greater MCU. There you go. That's my best attempt at formulating those words. It's very late here, guys. It's beyond 12 a.m. We're speaking about movies. That's the way we like to do it for some strange reason. And then, of course, we got Thor Ragnarok with the great Taika Waititi. He came along, and it just seemed to balance that better, Marvel. The different tones, the different sort of genres within this cinematic universe, they seem to do it better than DC and Warner Brothers. DC and Warner Brothers really need to get this right now, because obviously with Wonder Woman, that's different to Aquaman, it's different to Shazam, it's much different to Man of Steel and the Snyder-esque sort of movies we got in the very early vestiges of this cinematic universe. So no, Stephen, I don't think they do have to make the rest of the DCEU lighter. We just have to grow Shazam up. The guy has to mature, like you says with Tom Holland's Peter Parker. Not too much though. We need to keep different tones, as I just says. We like to have that lightness, the darkness, and blend it in with the big ensemble releases, if indeed we are getting another Justice League at some point. Speaking about this quote in general though, I like this. We've seen it in the Batman. There was hints that Superman may be a living, breathing thing within the Batman, the Matt Reeves Batman universe. There was a toy Superman, I think. Oh no, they were dressed up. It was Halloween. They were dressed up in costumes. I like that blending. It's unrealistic in these superhero movies to not have anyone hero worshipping these guys, not having toys, not having merchandise in general, no one dressing up at Halloween. It's as if they don't exist and it's a big secret, but they're on the TV and they're big superhero figures saving the world, so it makes sense. And I like the fact that they are taking inspiration from the Marvel side of things, DC. It means that there's no real tribalism within these companies like there is in the fan base. DC hates Marvel, Marvel hates DC. I don't buy into that shit at all. I love the both. And it's good to see the studios cooperate and they nab little things off of each other. And as I did say, Stephen, DC need to nab more off of Marvel, because my god, Marvel really have hit the ball out the park for over a decade now. DC have just started getting their shit together. they can learn so much more from Marvel, and hopefully they do. The blending of tones being one. So, no,
I think so, John. I think as well. I think the
sure.
Flash movie will be very important tonally. I think that sort of character and where that's going to be going with its sort of multiverse theme is something that can have light in places and be very dark in places as well. So you just need that sort of blend. I think DC have been guilty of making too many of their big characters in their films too dark. The Man of Steel was a great film. We both liked The Man of Steel. It was a very dark film. Batman v Superman, very dark film. The Justice League, very dark film. Wonder Woman started to show some light, but had dark elements. Aquaman, I felt was probably
kidnapping and sort of being a puppet master for some random guy and turning him into Steve. That was dark as hell. That was a kidnapping.
Yeah,
That's a
exactly.
kidnapping. Patty, what are you doing? You're writing a male kidnapping story arc into your movie. What's going on, Patty? That was dark as hell. Let's just use this guy.
I think Shazam just came at a time when, we needed it most. And Zachary Levi was fantastic in that film. I can't wait to see where they go with the character next.
Stephen, I can't wait to see where they go with Black Adam and Dwayne Johnson, because that guy's a natural born comedian. He's charismatic as hell. These guys are going to have to face off at some point, and I cannot wait to see the last we get in that. We've seen it with Hobbs and Shaw, him and Jason Statham. Yeah. That guy is hilarious on the screen, so we need to keep that balance. It can mature, and it can become a little bit more serious. He's almost Superman level Shazam when he gets his shit together and matures, but we still keep that blend of humour in there because it just lightens the tone, as you did say. And Lord knows the Warner Brothers executive were moaning and bitching and whinging about dark tones and overly long running times, so I'm sure they'll have their say on it as well, and it'll ultimately be kept in that light tone. So
no doubt, John, but we'll move swiftly on to our last topic, as it is nearly midnight here in Scotland.
Yes, I've got Master to watch.
It is, Go up to 4 in the morning, John. Oscars. We're talking about the Oscars again, John. We were talking about this a few weeks ago in terms of India's contribution, and it is India's Batu makes it to live action short film shortlist. Now, this coming in from businessinsider.in. That's for India, obviously. And I'm just going to read this. It's a very short article, John, but it'll give you an indication what's happening. The official Indian entry in the best foreign film category, Jalakuttu, which we spoke about a few months ago, might be out of the Oscar race, but there's still a chance for an Indian film to shine at the upcoming 93rd Academy Awards. The short film Batu,
that's a shame.
Yeah, the short film Batu has made it to the live action short film shortlist and is still in contention for a nomination. Karishma Dev Dub's Batu is part of the 10 movie list. The film has been presented by Ekta Kapoor, Gunit Monga and Tahira Kashyap under their Indian Women Rising initiative. Now, members of the short film and feature animation branch will vote to determine if the film makes the nomination cut. Based on a true story, Batu follows the journey of a fierce little girl who refuses to be forgotten, explores a heartwarming tale of friendship between two school friends. Other films in the shortlist are Dayi, Feeling Through, The Human Voice, The Kixled Choir, The Letter Room, The Present, Two Distant Strangers, The Van, and White Eyes. Gunit, whose film period...
The Van sounds illuminating as hell. I can't wait to see that. The Van. Oof.
The Van and the White Eye, yeah. And Gunit... Gunit, yeah.
Had white eyes today driving in that van.
Gunit, whose film period End of Sentence had won an Oscar in 2019, was ecstatic about the news and expressed it on her Instagram handle. I'm sure you can go over to Instagram and check that
out. It's 4:30 a.m. in India. Sounds like me.
Yeah.
Right up my street, this Gunit. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's good news, isn't it, to see this being put in there on the shortlist for live action short film. It's one of those categories that's becoming ever so important for up and coming filmmakers, independent filmmakers primarily, and it's good to see that India's got a contender in there.
Stephen, look, it's always great to see huge countries like India being represented at award shows like this. We've seen it with Korea. There wasn't a Korean nominated Best Picture movie, I don't think, for a long, long time, if ever. And then Boon Jong-ho comes along and wins 4 or 5 Oscars in one night. So it's great to see these sort of behemoths outside of Hollywood getting some representation. It's a shame the other one, Jalak Atom, did you say it was, hasn't actually made the shortlist, the final shortlist. I've always said, man, I love the Oscars for this very reason. It opens my eyes up to different sort of movies, different markets where these movies are released. I can go and watch a Danish movie, a French movie, a Korean movie, an Indian movie that I otherwise wouldn't have known about. And I usually use these award seasons as that sort of catapult to go and watch these movies. I pick out the best ones. I don't waste my time with the shite ones. I watch the best ones. That's the way I operate. And usually if it's nominated for an Oscar, that means it's one of the best ones. B2, it's 17 minutes long. It's a short. By its very nature, it's short as hell. And I'm reading the script, the synopsis here, Stephen. A close friendship between two girls is eclipsed by an accidental poisoning at school. So that sounds like an intriguing little mystery drama, maybe, I don't know, within 17 minutes. I love these short movies. I remember watching one with David Bowie, of all people, and some other actor. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life, man. It was like being on acid. That's how I imagine acid to be like. And it was within a 5-minute setup, and it was absolutely amazing. So I like all different kinds of movies.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think there's definitely there's a knack as well to be able to condense your story into a 17-minute film. That's not something that comes easy. If you've got a story to tell, and you've got to try and squeeze that into, if you're pitching it for some production or studio, 15-20 minute at the most, to try and tell that story in that short time. It's a very hard thing to do, but I think it's admirable, and I think it's definitely an art and it's a talent.
Steve, did you say it's up and coming female filmmakers who are involved in this? So that's another great piece of representation as well. It's always good to see female filmmakers getting some light shone upon them. So hopefully it makes the final shortlist and we can get some love shone upon it, man, and it maybe even wins. That'd be lovely. Lord knows we don't get enough sort of representation for foreign language movies as it is, man. Let's be honest. We've got that whole furore with Minari. Is it even a foreign language movie, or is it Korean, or is it American? I don't know, I've not seen it. And to be quite frank, I don't give a shit. If it's good, I'll watch it. But wait, that's going around the show up. My dog's sitting here, he's stretching. He's waiting to go outside again. 25 to 1 in the morning, he's wanting to walk out in the snow. This is my life, guys. What was your thoughts on the subjects we touched on? What do you make about the Sonic the Hedgehog reveal of Tails? Do you know who Tails is, or are you like me, somehow grew up in the 90s and completely missed the existence of Tails? The fact he's a fox and not a hedgehog. You can share your thoughts down below if you've got anything to say. You can also speak about Candyman and all of the other shenanigans we touched upon on the show tonight. Maybe you can speak about our slurring of the words and my complete mental breakdown of how to speak English. Some people would suggest I don't even speak English anyway, but you can comment down below if you've got anything to say about that as well. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, hit the follow button on Twitch if you want to see more content like this in the future, and if you do, that's what you'll get. But look guys, we are going to be gone now until tomorrow when we come back and review Master. If I can get it in that time and get it actually watched, I will. But look, bye bye.